Hi, we're talking about Ebola again, and much as I would like to cover a good news story, at the moment there doesn't seem to be any. What I do have, however, is about 12 messages asking me, how do you contract Ebola? I take it these people who sent me these emails don't actually mean that, and they mean, how can you avoid contracting Ebola? Now, I'm not a physician. Let's get this right out of the way. I'm not a microbiologist. I do have some science training. I can read a scientific paper. I can look things up online. I can talk to people. And today we have had Obama, who apparently can't do any of these things, contradict the CDC. The CDC are telling people to avoid public transport during an Ebola outbreak. Obama is saying you can't catch Ebola by sitting next to somebody on the bus. Well, sorry, you can. The confusion comes from what is airborne and what isn't. The CDC's definition of airborne is that the virus floats in the air all by itself, which the flu virus can do because it's got little sticky out bits that kind of get a grip on the air, and Ebola can't. Fine. However, when thinking about airborne, that's not what most people mean. What most people mean is what happens if someone coughs, what happens if they sneeze, and we all know a sneeze can go 120 feet. And the answer is you will get infected, because the CDC's airborne protocol does not include these, which it categorises separately. And the reason why is that it's not truly airborne, it's waterborne, because it's in the little tiny droplets of water that form a part of your sneeze, form a part of your cough, and that's where the virus is, not actually in the air. So this has been the cause of a lot of confusion, and not least, I will admit, me. I mean, the last video I did, I said it seems to be airborne. Well, yeah, it's airborne by anyone's definition of airborne, that is to say anyone except the CDC. So, what does all this mean? How can you contract Ebola? Well, the first nasty piece of news is that we don't really know how long Ebola survives outside the human body. We do know that, unlike some people who said, oh, it's 2 or 3 hours, it's a minimum of 3 days. And the reason we know that is that's how long most of the flu viruses can last outside the body, and Ebola is quite similar in some ways to flu. Now, the research hasn't been done to say exactly how long, but there are guesses out there by people far more educated than I am that go up to 10 days. So the answer is that if you sneeze on a surface and you've got Ebola, you have contaminated that surface for between 3 and 10 days. So what does this mean? This means that if someone is infectious and they've sneezed or coughed and it's got onto a surface, you can pick up that Ebola. The Ebola will be active. Doesn't mean to say yet that you're going to catch it, because that Ebola then has to find an open sore, a cut, or a mucous membrane. Now, you've got mucous membranes in here, you've got mucous membranes in there, you've got mucous membranes in other places which we shan't go into. I'm sure you know where they are. Now, so you handle a doorknob that someone sneezed on, or even that someone who has been sneezed on has handled. You then, for whatever reason, like you're a little child, you put your finger up your nose, you could get Ebola. Or you get the contamination on food or into drink. Then you could get Ebola, because it will be absorbed through the mucous membranes in your mouth. Now, that is really the bad news, because it's easy to spread. It's much easier than the CDC would have you believe, much easier than certainly than Obama would have you believe, and its incubation period is long. You're talking about 20 days. Well, it's 20 days before you know if you've been infected. When do you become infectious? The answer to that is still we don't know. But people are starting to suspect that you can actually be infectious before you develop symptoms. So, those are the ways you can catch Ebola, as well as by direct contact, by, for example, kissing somebody that has the disease, by making love to someone who has the disease. Now, it is insane for people to say that this disease is not going to spread. Apart from anything else, both the UK and the US have sent an awful lot of troops into Africa. An awful lot of troops who are going to be exposed to this disease, who are potentially themselves going to return home. And then there comes some really bad news, and that is that there are some bodily fluids, even after someone has had Ebola and been treated and survived, for 100 days Ebola will continue to be secreted in these body fluids. Not in high amounts perhaps, but they continue to be infectious. Now at the moment people are acting very much like they actually want to spread this disease. Let's take the gentleman recently in Texas in the States. He actually vomited on a public street and it was cleaned up with high pressure hoses. Yes, that's right, they spread the infection all over the street, all over anything that was in that street. It's crazy. It's just completely and utterly nuts. So there we go. It's starting to look like Ebola is inevitable. It's expected to reach the UK before Christmas and to actually have cases in the UK. We already know there are cases in the States. There's a case in Spain. So it's in Europe, really. And that's if people don't spread it. Who's to say that ISIS or some other group will not deliberately spread Ebola, because it seems to be a very easy thing to spread. So my advice to you, if you don't want to catch Ebola, is don't do anything. Don't go out, don't shake hands, don't... It doesn't bear thinking about, really. I would relax a bit until Ebola hits whatever area you're in, and then take every precaution you can. Every precaution. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this. Well, not enjoyed it, but I hope you found it useful. And if you have, please like, subscribe, and of course share. Thank you very much.